The efforts to justify the new treaty, which James Cleverly has now signed in Kigali, are ratcheting up. So we know from the details of the treaty, we know that the treaty will ensure that people relocated to Rwanda are not at risk of being returned to a country where their life or freedom would be threatened, an act known as refoulement. Well, that's okay. That probably deals with, that gives an assurance to the Supreme Court, anyway, on that issue. It also enhances the Independent Monitoring Committee to ensure compliance with the obligations in the treaty, such as reception conditions, processing of asylum claims, treatment and support for individuals, including up to 5 years after they have received final determination. Okay. And it also further bolster assurances. It will further bolster assurances that relocated individuals will not be returned under the treaty. Rwanda's asylum system will be strengthened through a new appeal body. Okay, again. What it doesn't do is it doesn't deal with two issues which I think are outstanding. Number one, it doesn't confirm that there's going to be clear supervision of the Rwandan security forces and an assurance that there won't be further incidents of the killing of refugees, simply because the refugees don't do what the Rwandan authorities want them to do, because they're not compliant, because they haven't been fed, because they're being kept in captivity, blah, 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 blah. And secondly, it's highly unclear. It's highly unclear what is to happen to people who are relocated to Rwanda after 5 years. Can they then travel elsewhere? Are they constrained? And what happens should the government in Rwanda fall? Whose responsibility are these refugees or migrants? What about those migrants who have had their application rejected? To what country are they going to be sent? So there are some serious question marks over the Rwandan treaty. The efforts of the government seem to be to push this through at all costs, and the focus is on, for example, keeping happy the more than 20 Conservative MPs who wrote to Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, saying that they wouldn't support a move that compromised Britain's relationship with the European Court. These so-called notwithstanding clauses. These 20 MPs are telling Rishi Sunak not to renege on human rights commitments in his effort to square this circle, and 41% of voters have said that immigration was one of the three biggest issues facing the country. 41%, that's not that many really, is it? It's gone up from 14% in 2020. But of course, this is the subject that dominates the political debate at the moment. So it's not surprising that it would command attention and command support. But sidestepping legal obstacles is not looking at the moral issues that are central to this agreement. And the most central thing is who takes responsibility if Rwanda goes wrong. And many Conservative voters in the meantime, I think many voters on all sides of the House who support all members of the House are uneasy about the Conservative obsession, the Cabinet's obsession with unpicking the pins that hold our fragile constitution in place. And one of those is, of course, respect for the rule of law. This demonstrates that we have no respect for the rule of law, that the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary, who are supposed to be the guardians of the rule of law, change the law when it suits them. This is like somebody robbing a place, and when arrested, simply saying, "Well, I'm going to put it back." It's not enough. That sort of promise is not enough, and I think we have so many issues that are underpinned now by the European Convention on Human Rights and the European Court, the UN Refugee Convention, the UN Convention Against Torture. In fact, the agreements with Albania to take back Albanians who come to Britain, these agreements are underpinned by the ECHR. And so sidestepping that, getting rid of that, I think this is going to do monumental damage to our international legal position, and it's going to take decades to repair, if it can be repaired. We are turning ourselves into an extremely silly state on the whim of slogans and ideology that will be turned round within a matter of a year. Because if there is one thing that Labour has to do, it's already committed not to accept Rwanda, the Rwandan plan, and it will follow up on that if it gets into power. So this is a nonsense. This is an absolute nonsense.